Something terribly inconvenient about RX8s. Is a low compression RX8 streetable? Well, let's find out. This is hot start at the bank. Just left the house this morning. Listen to how fast this thing fires up. So fast that even the dog is going to be impressed. You ready for this? 70 psi compression. We made 86 horsepower on the dyno with this engine. 86 horsepower. I will put the clip in. You should go check out the video. We made a whopping 86.6 wheel horsepower and 66.6 foot-pounds of torque on the Dynapack hub dyno with the yellow RX8. We took this thing to the dyno and we're just completely depressed with our numbers. Depression, compression, and depression horsepower. So let's crank some tunes. We got a bunch of errands to run today and we'll see if we actually have to stop and wait for this thing to start. But I think good old stock yellow RX8, this thing's gonna rip all day. We're just gonna have a good time. Dogs are riding along too. We've been running the Zone adapter so I can show you guys about how much premix I've been consuming daily driving. But since you guys have last seen this car, I have put about 600 miles on it, driving it around. So the self-learn, all the fuel parameters, this thing is just, it's starting, it's running. Literally the only thing that's weird, I don't know if y'all will be able to hear it. When I put this car in gear, for some reason, it idles up. So clutch is in, I put it in third gear, it's just sitting here hunting. I have no idea why it does this. I don't have a check engine light for this. My check engine light is an O2 sensor heater. But for some reason, take it out of gear, settles in perfectly again. So I literally have no idea why it's doing that. It doesn't really bother me that much. It just sounds like I got a real sweet cam sitting at a stoplight with my Prius exhaust. Hop skip from the bank over to the gas station and put some 87 octane in this deal. I know y'all be like, it says 91 on the gas cap. This thing's low compression, guys. You don't need 93 octane fuel if you have a low compression engine. If you got a low compression engine, you run the cheap fuel, you know, because this isn't no 14-to-1 compression small block Chevy. This is like 10-to-1 compression on a good day Renesis RX8 engine, but we're making, what, optimal PSI is probably 120. Oh, we're gonna drag. Nope, made it. Here, this is all she's got right here. You ready? You ready? Floored it. This thing rips. So fast even the dog gets scared. Once we get to the gas station here, we'll do a quick fuel mileage calculation, although I can't tell you that it's going to be the most grandpa-footed high fuel mileage you've ever seen, because, well, I like to do things like you just saw, which is well within the confines of legal driving speed, because you're driving an RX8. It's literally the slowest car. Like, it's not that fast. This thing, we got a sunroof, leather power, heated seats. The only thing I'm missing on this one is the nav and the cool GT Aero. But this thing is a heavy 3,300 pounds, most likely 3,200, maybe 3,300 with a full tank of fuel. And I can tell you, I mean, you guys saw the dyno video, it made 86 horsepower. So this has like the worst power to weight ratio of just about everything. You know, like if you had a little shifter cart with a KX500cc two-stroke engine on it that made 86 horsepower, but the cart weighed 200 pounds, like that's power to weight ratio right there. This thing, not so much. Should we just do like a coasting down the highway hot start right here? Oh, car died. Not abnormal for RX8s. Look at that. Turn it back on. How's she start? No nothing. Runs like a top. Little highway hot start for you guys. You know, keeping the RX8 hot start people a little count. That's 2 today. 2 hot starts. And I didn't even rev it and shut it off before. We just been driving it. All right, so we're here at the gas station. Not gonna touch the gas pedal at all. You can see my foot's back behind the steering wheel. Just gonna turn it off. We're not even gonna wait. Let's just go ahead and fire it right back up. Runs like a top, guys. 2 in a row. Hot start count 4. 4. What about 3 in a row? Instant shut off. Probably flooded. Oh wait, it's a low compression RX8. Oh, it took like 0.1 seconds longer that time. All right, let's top this thing off with fuel. I'm at a quarter of a tank of gas. I've driven 227.7 miles. The car has 156,003 miles on it. Look, we're sitting here waiting. Maybe we rev it once. Let's rev it and turn it off. And then we'll see if our hot start after filling up is slower or faster than it was those 2 times. Something terribly inconvenient about RX8s. We want the good stuff. Oh wait, I gotta grab this thing first. The good stuff. Go check out Phalanx Performance. Make sure you shake all the drips in there. 12.2 gallons. All right, Letty, you're getting all tangled up in my camera. Can you sit down? Thank you. All right, so this is post-rev hot start. My foot is up here. Oh, it took longer that time. So here's the deal, guys. Whenever you rev your car like that and turn it off, it shuts the fuel injectors off. And that prevents your car from flooding. Because, hey, Letty. It prevents your car from flooding because when the injectors shut off and the engine is coming down from 3,000 RPM, say, right? All that fuel that was in there got shoveled out into the exhaust, and there's no idle fuel, right? Which is what the car is going to do when you let off the gas, that's in there to flood it. So then when you go to restart your car after you've, shut it off, it's going to take longer to start because there's no fuel in the chamber that's left over from when the car was idling previously. Fun fact. That's why it takes longer to start sometimes whenever you do that. But if your car is like really hurt and it won't start, then you're going to have to do that because once it starts putting a little fuel in there, it's just going to flood it. So we'll just go ahead and do another hot start right here. We'll just turn it off. Admire some of these beautiful old Peterbilt trucks. That guy's got a sweet Kubota lawnmower over there behind his little red Ford. Fired right back up. So you can see though, that start was faster than the one where I had revved it. We got our little idle surge here. It's kind of like launch control. You put that thing in first gear, it starts to idle up for you. Maybe it's like hill start assist from 2004. So 227 miles on 12 gallons of fuel, 12.2. You do the math in your head how much that fuel mileage is, but I can do the math in my head and tell you that it's probably around 19. Simple math, right? 226 is really close to 240, okay? 240 divided by 12 is what? 20. So since we're just shy of 240, we're dividing by 12, and that's 20, then we're just going to say, 19. So one of the other things that's super fun about RX8s, and you guys will see this in here in a second, because we're going to resume this video once I get to a more curvy, Deals Gap-like curvy road where the RX8 excels, is that the rear shocks in this car is stock. It has been modified. Aside from Bennett-built LS coils, it's got a Sohn adapter, still has a catalytic converter, stock intake, stock airbox, stock like everything else, good stock plugs. And the rear shocks are the original ones from 2004, and they are completely shot. As in, completely shot. We're sitting Cali lean, South Carolina tilt, whatever you call those dumb trucks right now, with the bottom of the back of the car just ready to bottom out at all times. Front of the car riding high, and you feel it every time we go through a little bump or a G out or whatever. It just bottoms out the rear shocks. The dog doesn't like it. Scares her. We got a Scion FRS a couple cars back though. He's jealous. RX8's are cooler. Might not be better, but it's cooler. You gotta lay down. This is gonna be a curvy road. You're gonna fly out the window. Thank you. Good dog. She's probably not gonna enjoy this part of the trip. So we've made it out of town now. We've got to say unmarked, unpaved section of Mexico here, and we're gonna, enjoy the beautiful handling of a Mazda RX8. But see, this car only makes 86 horsepower, so there's no way we can actually exceed a speed limit. So, you know, the fact that we had to travel from Indiana to Mexico, pretty easy to just say like, yeah, we're just on a regular road. This car's slow. So, the RX8, blown rear suspension. We're about 25 miles from where we filled up with gas. You can hear my little ghost cam popping along. Let's just do another hot start. We'll just shut it off. Enjoy the silence of coal mine country. Look at that. Fires right back up. It just never ceases to amaze me. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of a test here of the RX8 stuff. We've got a nice pocket right here. Put my phone in with the charger still hooked up, where it's not going to fly away. It's not going to get into my shift action. Ooh, it's revving. We've got a big gulp here, or well, actually it's just a Wendy's drink, but we got a Wendy's cup in the cup holder. See how many elbow shots it takes. And I'm going to go ahead and turn all the traction control nannies off, because we ought to see if this little compression RX8 can do a burnout. So if we hold down DSC, shuts all of it off. We're not that far from the ranch, so hopefully we don't just leave the drive shaft on the ground right here, but the dog's not going to like this. It'd be really funny just to pay attention to the dog. Don't worry, she's going to be okay, but we're going to let it have it. So let's see, will low compression RX8 do a burnout? It definitely won't do a sitter, but we'll launch it a little bit. 7 grand. Yeah, a little bit of wheel hop. Glad we didn't shoot the drive shaft out the back of it. So the RX8s, especially if you got one blown rear suspension, you literally just got to let it load up and hit the bump stop and then drive it through the corner. So you just drive through the corner like you have no suspension, because if you hit the bump stop mid corner, it really kind of upsets everything. So you really want to like get the car loaded and then ship it. We're just not even going to go into the higher gears because of that stupid reverse lockout being broken. But these things handle really well. They drive really nice. The only thing that sucks about it is that I can't fit my mountain bike inside the car, so I have to run the like sea sucker suction cup bike rack. So as far as daily driverable for me, being a mountain bike guy, you know, not ideal. It does have a passage into the trunk from inside, so you could like put your fishing poles in here or your pool cue if you like those sorts of things. But otherwise, it does have a back seat, which is nice. Here we go. Oh, we didn't bottom out. We got to find a spot to bottom this out so you can feel it. Bottom out, come on. Bottom out. Bottom out. Nope, almost. Here we go. Here's some bumps. Oh, caught the fender liner. There it is. Nice little bottom out. You can feel it or see me just bouncing back and forth back here. But the RX8 still is a good car. All right, Letty, you're blocking the camera. Hey, you're blocking the camera. Lay down. It's daily drivable enough that the dog, Letty, she can ride with me, even though she's going to stand here and block the camera, but that's okay. Car is a good car. I'd love to tell you what I paid for this, but I really probably shouldn't, because you won't like me telling you what I paid for it, because it was not running when I bought it with a rebuilt engine, okay? And it, you know, 150,000 mile RX8s with terrible paint, cracked windshields that aren't running aren't exactly worth a bunch of money. So I got it for really cheap. And if you saw the past videos, whenever I got this thing on the channel, it didn't really take that much to get this deal running. So I'm not one to say that every single RX8 that is for sale for sub $1,000 with 155,000 miles on it is going to just be a $200 fix and a set of ignition coils away from being a reliable 86 horsepower daily driver. We're only 2.5, 3 weeks into this thing. Like I said, I've been driving it everywhere. It's never left me stranded. You can see it hot starts pretty much every time. Cold start is actually a little worse than the hot start, to be honest. But it's still a pretty good car. But I can't, like I said, I can't tell you that if you go buy one for $500 that doesn't run, that it's not going to be a way bigger project than what mine was. So it's just, you know, it's an RX8. There's some good ones, there's some bad ones, I guess, and we got a good one. So, which is nice. The green one, it's kind of a good one too. I'm going to take us in the gravel way so we can do some rallying in the RX8. The dog's really going to be stoked for that. And we'll enter some corners. We'll throw this thing sideways a little bit and get it back to the shop. Try not to throw a rock through our oil cooler, which will be a huge win. We know what happens whenever oil cooler lines bust. It destroys engines in a matter of a quarter of a mile. But I'm excited to get this thing back to the shop. We'll do a compression check when we get back to the shop just to see, and I'll show you guys the zone adapter stuff. We'll do a little walk around on the car. That way y'all can really see just how good the yellow RX8 is. Because it's not bad. But it might not be the best, but it's not bad. All right, Letty, you're really gonna wanna lay down for this one. All right, we are on a gravel road. Not quite a rally stage gravel road, but today it's a RX8 rally stage gravel road. Got all the nannies turned off, and we're ready to, you know, it's got street tires, guys. This thing is gonna have 0% traction. But to some, you might think, hey, if you're on a rock road, you really want to be able to slide around. But in all reality, rally cars have really good traction on gravel roads, even in dirt roads. The rally tires are just the bomb. So let's check our dust, which we got none. Just have a little fun in the old RX8. Just kind of letting her fly back and forth there a little bit. It's hard with the stock exhaust. You can't even hear this thing running, so you can literally just like have your foot in the throttle and you wouldn't even know that you were like at 9,000 RPM because the car is so quiet. All right, Letty, you're almost sit down. Sit down. Man, this RX8 is so much more planted than my Dodge Colt is, just with the extra wheelbase. Right there's where we pop a street tire off the bead, hitting the gravel to tarmac transition. I'm sorry, dog. We just pulled up to the shop. Might as well do another hot start, right? Oh man, this thing just runs too good. I think it starts better than the green one. Here she is in all of her glory, guys. Lightning yellow, bug covered, 2004. All sorts of different thunderstorm worthy lightnings of yellow. Here we got fluorescent yellow, faded yellow, newer yellow. The other side's original yellow. The trunk is checkered yellow. It's a yellow RX8, guys. It looks pretty good. A few dents and dings here, but that's really, you know, par for the course for, like I said, sub $1,000 RX8. Nice big rock chip right there. So let's pop the hood. Take a little gander at this nice stock engine bay. I'll show you how much we've used on the premix. So whenever I filled this up, we were at the top of the green line here. Now we're at the bottom of the green line. So 600 miles, used about that much. Not a whole lot of premix used out of that thing, which is okay. We're just, the zone adapter feeds premix, clean 2-stroke premix to your oil injectors to basically help prolong your engine life. In the stock setup, the oil metering pump is actually using oil from your oil pan. So as that oil gets more carbon buildup, darker, contaminated, dirty oil, burning dirty oil is not good. You're going to leave all sorts of carbon, all sorts of stuff inside your engine. And that's what this thing does. It injects that oil into the rotary engine in order to lubricate it. So we don't have scraper rings like piston engines that lubricate the cylinder walls. So this sprays it, much like a 2-stroke. And that's what that zone adapter does. The previous video on this car, you can see that get installed. You can see the new LS coils down there get installed as well. Very, very stock, simple setup. I did go through here and put the air conditioner belt back on, hoping that the AC would still blow cold. I did buy this thing in the winter, and when I got it running, I was like, ooh, the AC works great. And then basically it doesn't. So I've got to charge that. But let's pull it inside. Had to move the Caddy Max out. We can pull this in the shop, jack it up, pull the wheel off, compression test, see how everything shakes out. I lost track of the amount of hot starts. Revy. It's crazy how slow this car revs, considering my green RX8 has a 13-pound or maybe it's an 11-pound flywheel. And that green RX8's so much snappier than this one. Look, we'll just shut it off. Hot start, right back up. Instant shut off. Hot start, right back up. Look at that. Rev, shut off. Hot start, fires right back up. I don't know. I have no idea, guys. I don't know how a 70 PSI engine makes this much hot starts. I don't know. I don't know. This car used to be, when I first bought it, it was kind of a struggle to get it started. Like, that was pretty normal. It would just and it would start. I guess just the self-learn, figuring out its fuel trims, it's gotten better. Tell you this much though, I got super lucky when I bought this one, because rarely when you buy an RX8 do they come with like anti-wheel theft devices, because there's so many blown up RX8s in the world that there's also so many sets of RX8 rims in the world. Mine came with the key to take it off. Huge win. Alright, so what I've got here is the rotary compression tester brand compression tester. This is the newer one. It's got the fancy little rubber piece here so you don't tear your wires. You got to be careful putting these things in. You really don't want to spin it by the wires. You want to spin it by the sensor. So we're going to put this deal in. I'm only going to do the rear rotor, guys, because, well, the front rotor is always a pain to do, and I just don't want to mess with it. So we're going to do the rear only. We know what both of the compression numbers were from the last one. Well, hey, probably why that fender liner rubs on everything is because, well, it's not attached. Too many rally water crossings in the last few weeks. Say doors also don't like to stay open, so be prepared to get smacked in the side with your door every once in a while. Begin cranking. Let's see what we got. Okay, I think I pulled one too many fuses. Now let's try it. Jeez. See, now look at that. It made, we'll run it again here in a sec. The first test made 90, 95, 90. Corrected is 83, 88, 83. So this does have the upgraded starter, so it does crank really fast. Let's try it again. Look at that. Corrected 90, 83, 79. So here's the deal, guys. When it comes to doing compression tests on your rotary engine, I literally made a video about this. Compression test data, you can fake the numbers, you can make them big, you can make them small, you can do all sorts of stuff, relatively easy to change those numbers. It's not like they're just concrete, every single test is treated the exact same. So the conditions that we compression tested on the dyno, you know, the fuel system hadn't learned its whole deal. We didn't have the fancy LS coils to help burn all that old fuel out of there. There could have been a bunch of old fuel in there. It had only really been running for like, I don't know. I never really drove it. I wanted to dyno it exactly how it was when I got it running so we could see like the worst case scenario. And that's probably why we got low compression numbers, or low-ish, even though right now at 90, 83, 79, so that's 6.2, 5.7, 5.4, like that's still well below Mazda's threshold for needing this engine rebuilt. You really like ideally want to be in the sixes for all of them, and we're not. Sixes as in how much bar of compression you've got. It's a pressure measurement just like PSI. 1 bar or 1 atmosphere is approximately 14 PSI. So you take that PSI number times your bar and you get the PSI to bar conversions. So engineering, math, science, all of that right there. So approximately 6 bar. 6 times 14. Do the math. What's the number? 84. So 84 PSI is really your 6 bar of compression kind of minimum. In my head, that's just the whole number I round off Mazda's minimum compression. So technically, yes, my RX8 needs a new engine, but we're still driving it and it's still running. And this video should kind of go to prove that RX8s, as much as they get a bad rap, and yes, you're going to see rebuilt engines that don't make Mazda's spec, just like this one. I'm almost positive this car only has about 15 to 20,000 miles on that rebuilt engine. I'm pretty sure my buddy bought this car 5 years ago with the blown up motor. They rebuilt it, put it together, and he's been driving it a little bit, and then I bought it whenever it broke again. And that rebuild, you know, probably, like I said, 20,000 miles-ish or so on the rebuild. Now, I don't know. This rebuilt engine probably isn't going to run for 100,000 miles, but here's the other thing to know about rebuilt engines, okay, is just because it makes low compression doesn't mean that the compression is just going to go away instantly, right? This engine, we'll say it makes 80 psi compression, 70, whatever it makes, 70 psi. It can make 70 psi of compression for 30,000 miles or 50,000 miles. It just might not make the same amount of horsepower that a 120 psi compression engine would make, right? But it doesn't mean that it's not going to last, right? So there's always this big skepticism about rebuilt engines, especially rebuilt engines with used housings. And how long does it take for the compression to come up? So the grooves on the housings aren't going to match up with the perfectly flat apex seal when you rebuild your engine. And it's going to take time for everything to bed in and line up. And there's a lot of, like I said, skepticism about RX8s and rebuilt engines and this, that, and the other. And I'm not here to say, like I said earlier, that every single RX8 that makes 70 psi compression is going to run for 50,000 miles. That is not at all what I am saying in this video. I'm also not at all saying that every low compression RX8 you buy is going to be just like this one and it's going to be reliable for a little while. I don't know how long this is going to last like this. I have no idea. I don't really even have a best guess. I'm hoping as long as possible. Let's see how long a low compression RX8 goes. If you take care of your RX8, it's probably going to run pretty good for a decent amount of time. Okay? You're not going to get 200,000 miles out of a Renesis engine ever. I would say you're probably not even really going to get much over like 120,000 miles out of a Renesis engine ever. And that's just par for the course with an RX8. And all the piston engine guys are like, rotary engines suck. Well, here's the deal. They're just a rotary engine. You have to like it or you have to not like it. And that's the deal. Do you want to hate on rotaries? Go right ahead. Do you want to put a V6 in your RX8? Hit up Kaiser Automation, get one of their totality swaps. It's super awesome. Turns your RX8 into like a better looking 350Z. You want to put an LS in an RX8? Do it. I think any car that runs and drives is a fun car and you can take it out and have fun with it. So why write off all the cheap RX8s when you might be able to go spend $500 on an RX8? Maybe it makes low compression. You could have really a ton of fun for a whole summer, maybe 2 summers, just beating it up and not caring about it. And to me, that's money well spent. You had a good time. You can take your leather seats out, sell them for $300, get all your money back. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to keep driving this thing, so keep following along. We're going to take this thing to the dyno again with Ernie when we get back from Tail of the Dragon. I've got a catback exhaust, a mid-pipe that we're going to gut the catalytic converter out of. We'll find some sort of an intake to put on this thing, and we're going to take it to the dyno, Versatuner, tune it, see how much horsepower we can get out of this measly little, I guess now, 80 psi compression Mazda RX8 because, 600 miles, we made a little more compression. Who knows? Hopefully it starts going up, but I doubt it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Keep it rad. Honestly, guys, I am so surprised that it even made 85 psi compression this time. It's one of those things where everybody kind of, and selling FDs on Bring a Trailer, you battle the same thing. If it doesn't make 100 psi compression, don't waste your time. I've had engines that made 100 psi compression blow up just as much as I've had engines that make 70 psi compression blow up. A $100,000 SMX, big block, 4,000 horsepower, twin turbo, whatever, every ounce of dollar you can spend in an engine, they still break. It's part of it. It's part of cars. RX8s, they might just do it more often than others, and rotary engines too, but no big deal. Peace, guys.